All right, what's up, world? I'm Jesse Parley with Family First Life. I'm sitting here with David Pinilla, Senior Sales Manager with FFL Disciples, and Tyler Knox of FFL Apex. Fellas, how you doing today?
Good.
Pretty good.
So interesting with the two of you. You guys are both essentially a year or less in the industry.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk today a little bit about what it's like to start hiring people and getting new agents moving. So David, let's start with you.
Okay.
You've done some podcasts before where you talked kind of about your backstory, how you ended up here, kind of all the things you've gone through. Briefly, give us sort of a snippet. How'd you end up getting into the insurance game?
To the insurance game, referral from a friend.
Okay.
Yeah. So he just invited me to check out this overview. Looked over it. Obviously I thought it was too good to be true, but then I was like, why not give it a shot? Because you never know. And so I just went all for it.
And you've been with Family First Life how many months now?
6 months.
Okay. And prior to Family First Life, you were in insurance how long?
Prior to that, about a year, full year.
Okay. So you're still under 2 years
still
in
under
the
2
business.
years in the insurance industry.
Great.
Yeah.
But you're making it happen.
Making it happen.
In July, your team issued just over 100,000, you said?
Yep. Just over 100.
So you just hit Senior Sales Manager?
Sure did.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you got a new team name and everything?
Yeah, sure did.
Hit us with
logo, everything.
What are you going as?
FFL Disciples. You'll see it, but it's real nice. I like it.
Well, congrats on that.
Thank you.
Tyler.
Yep.
You have been with FFL under a year as well.
Yep.
And I know you've got some experience prior to this, but tell us a little bit kind of how you ended up back in the fold here.
Yeah, so basically, so I did something similar to this, kind of, sort of, about 7 years ago with Rob, and then went off and joined the military, did that for about 4 years, and I knew that I would need a job, obviously when I got out, so I started preparing and studying for my license prior to getting out of the military, and, obviously getting out, that's a whole laundry list of things you got to do there, but I knew that I wanted to have something to go to when I got out, and so for me it was going to be the insurance route, and I knew there was potential there, but you always hear about like everyone saying, oh, you can make so much money, and I was watching the YouTube videos too, and if you hear people talk about like, oh, I made $10,000 in a week, and you're like, okay, yeah, sure you did. Sure. Man, when I got here, it was like, it's amazing. Yeah, and typically at a lot of jobs too, you'll have that thing where the business model is you have 2 or 3 people at the top that make all the money, and the whole mantra and idea is like, okay, well, if you work hard enough, you can get to their level, and you have 30 people trying to do that. Here, it's like you have everybody's making money because the resources are there, the availability is there, the mentorship is there. Yep. So
let's transition from that. So just to touch, so you personally just had your best month ever with our agency. You did roughly 38,000 in July.
38,000.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
But what we want to talk about today, and where you guys are kind of on the same page and level here, right, is now that you're having personal success, you're starting to basically spread that success out to other people, trying to recruit and build your own teams.
Yeah.
Right.
So David, you said you've got how many agents now?
Right now, 10 writing agents.
Okay, and Tyler, you've got how many on your team?
Right at 4.
Okay, perfect. Yep. So, let's start with you, Tyler. What have you started doing with your recruiting? How are you relating your success to other people to get them, interested in the opportunity here for themselves?
Right. Yeah. So, I think the biggest thing for me is that I was lucky enough to be coached by Rob. So I think when you have a great mentor and a great leader, you're going to mirror. I think you're the product of whatever your mentorship is. So for me, I got lucky and I had a great mentor. So I've always seen his success, and I've thought like, okay, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And I think that same mentality spreads. So obviously, like I was saying just a minute ago, I was in the military before, didn't hardly make any money. I don't possess any great special talents, or it's not like I'm just genetically gifted with some magic talent
other than good looks.
Yeah, I'll stop. But so anybody can do this kind of thing, right? And just because anyone can do it doesn't mean everyone will. You've got to be willing to take a chance on yourself, and you got to be you have to take a little bit of a risk in order to see the reward. But for me, I think a lot of people look at me and they're probably like, well, he's just like a normal dude, like typical person. If he can do it, I probably can too.
Sure.
Yeah,
So let's break that down before we transition to David with the same question, right? Like, so of your 4 agents, right? where are you finding them? Are they warm market? Are they random applicants? What's kind
So
of where you're?
a lot from Instagram.
Okay.
A lot from Instagram. I'll put on my story kind of the success I'm having, and I'll put out there like, hey, come join us. If you want to be a part of this, come join us. I'll coach you. I'll help you from start to finish and give you everything you need to know. So like, for example, Vandre, who just came on board, this was his first week. So I actually got hooked up with him through Rob, but he and I were following each other on Instagram, and he was seeing some of my stuff. And, now we work together.
Sure.
So his first dial day was Monday, and he experienced kind of what a roller coaster of emotion that can be sometimes, right? Because it's not, it's not like when you pick up the phone, everybody wants to talk to you.
Right.
Exactly.
So he got over that initial shock of like, okay, you're going to have some people that tell you no, but you're just looking for the ones that tell you yes. So anyways, we had his first dial day. He booked his appointments. We went out and ran them, and I think he's going to make somewhere around $1,500 to $2,000 for his first week, and has zero experience with this kind of stuff. He's coming from a physical labor type job where he's got to sweat and be miserable all day.
He knows how to work.
Yeah, he knows how to work, and
working inside is going to be a nice change for him.
Exactly. Yeah, air conditioning.
Yeah,
air conditioning is going to be nice. Not having to sweat his butt off. So I think you hear stories like that all the time, though, where you don't need any experience for this job. You don't have to. You don't have to have some great gifts or anything like that.
For sure.
You just need to be willing to work. You need to be coachable and make zero excuses for yourself. Vandre is doing an excellent job of that. He doesn't make excuses for himself. When he needs help, he reaches out to me and asks to it. And somebody like that, I want to pour 110% of everything I have into them, because it's going to do great things.
So let's pause there. So David, piggyback off there, right? So you've got a team of 10, 11.
Yeah.
Right. Right, where Tyler's talking about kind of how he found his guy and where that guy's giving effort and where Tyler wants to be supportive. Pick up there and give from your perspective, right? Like, once you get to the point where someone is on board, right, and now they're getting into dial day, they're getting into homes. Talk a little bit about what your approach is, sort of how hands-on you are with them, kind of once they've said they're in, and how are you managing them from kind of application to getting into a house.
Okay. So first off, I would like to have a conversation before dial day to kind of set some expectations. Because if you don't set expectations and they just come in randomly, they're not going to have an idea of what's going to happen. So I set some expectations. I kind of give a little bit about how my first day went. It didn't go so great, and I was in the insurance world. I only set like 3 appointments. But I sold one of them, so I made it happen, But that just shows to go like, hey, even a guy who did come from insurance struggled. But that doesn't mean that even though you didn't come from insurance, doesn't mean that you're not going to have, if not the same problems as me, if not, you may be one of those lucky ones who goes through it and kills it, right? But that's not all of us. So kind of set those expectation ground rules, kind of know what to expect on the dial day. Now, once that dial day happens, I highly, highly, highly recommend, just because you're independent, so you have the opportunity to do whatever you want to do. But I highly recommend for the first week or 2 weeks, you come into an office and you dial with me. So that way I can hear the little mistakes you make. It may not be a big difference to you, but it makes a very huge difference over the phone. So that's what I touch on. I'm like, hey, try this, or instead of saying this, try this route.
Okay.
And then kind of go from there. And then as they start to realize, and once they watch me phone set, see how they sound themselves, they're going to slowly realize, okay, this makes more sense. Okay, I see where he's coming from. Okay, that makes more sense. And then now, over the course of the week, they're getting better over the phones. They're getting better show ratios. They're setting more appointments because they're handling objections a lot better. It just overall, now their confidence is getting up.
Are you doing role playing with them in terms of the in-home or phone or anything?
I don't need to do role play in-home.
Okay.
The reason why is, you have the boot camp. You have the training. And to me, the best way to learn is just to go out there. You're never going to get better training than just going out there and just falling face first, because I did.
Are you having them call you from the house?
Okay. I have them call me from the house for at least until they feel somewhat comfortable. Now with our team, we have something called I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but underwriting genie.
Okay.
So it's someone that we simply message on our Slack, and there's someone that instantly responds in the next 15 seconds on which product and which carrier to go with. Just in case if for some reason I don't pick up my phone.
Sure.
But for the first, let's say 15 appointments, 15 sales, I would say
You've got them connected with resources where
Exactly.
if they run into an issue, they can reach out to you. If you're not available for any reason, they've got other forms.
they got other forms of contacts, or they have, if I'm not available, they have, my team member, which
Yep.
is Hayden and Nina,
Okay.
right? So they have other, avenues to
Yep.
go to.
You make sure they're never gonna feel alone.
Because in this business, you're independent, so you're going to feel alone. But if you surround yourself with a community of people that are willing to actually help you and make money at the same time, it makes it's
So
wonders.
Tyler, let's go back. You're using your guy Vandry
Yeah.
as an example.
Yep.
Right. I've seen you the past couple of days. You've been in here dialing with him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He's clearly gone out in the field already and had some success.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Talk a little bit in detail, like not that you're hand holding him, right, but you're calling with him.
Right.
When he gets in the field, same thing. Is he set up where he's out on his own, kind of figuring it out, but he's calling you if he needs help, or what's that guy doing to have his success happen so quickly?
Yeah, so a little bit of both. So his first day, he was in the field by himself, right, which is how I want it. Just like David was saying, you're going to fall on your face. Everybody does it. It's a new job, first day, second day. You need to fall on your face a little bit. It's part of the growing process. The second day, I went in the field with him, and we ran a couple of appointments together. So I think, and obviously I'm still learning at this, right?
Yeah.
So I make myself a sponge, and I always want to learn whatever I can soak up. But I think me personally, I believe the best way to lead is to lead from the front. So I want anyone working with me to see like, okay, he's not just telling me to do this.
Right,
He's actually out there doing it. He's in here making the phone calls with me. When we're dialing, I'm not screwing around. It's like these hours, I protect that time. These hours, I'm dialing the phone. I'm not here to follow up on other business. I'm not scrolling my social media. I'm working. These are work hours, right? And there's a time and a place for both of those. But I think it's important to lead from the front. And then that way, I think your people are going to be a lot more receptive to you and any advice or guidance you have to give if they see that you're doing if you're practicing what you preach.
Yeah.
If they see you doing exactly.
Well, that's the military way.
It is, right? Yeah. And so if you're practicing what you preach and they see that you're going out and doing the exact same thing that you're recommending to them, they're going to go, okay, well, there's probably a reason he's doing that. And there's a reason that it's working. So it's really great for accountability.
Yeah,
it's fantastic because when you get that feeling of like, I'm just going to slack off a little bit, which I personally don't get very often, just my nature.
Yeah.
But if you had that feeling, they're going to keep you accountable because it's like, hey, I'm working. Like, what are you doing?
Let's use the word accountable in transition, right? Between the two of you, right? So when you're hiring somebody and when you're hiring somebody, right? You talked about how prior to dial day, you're setting expectations.
Yeah.
But when you're hiring someone, right, and whether they've been doing this elsewhere or whether they're doing this as their first jump into insurance,
Yeah.
right? What are your expectations of a new agent that you're expressing to them to make sure that you're combining sort of what you're looking for with what they're looking for? What are you kind of, right, when you're interviewing, I guess, right?
As far as interviewing, I would just say like I would want to get to know them as far as like the type of person they are. Because if they're the type of person that doesn't take rejection very well, which, we all don't, but to a point where it's just something that I feel if I were to bring you into this team, if you do not fit the culture that we are providing here, then I would not want to be, because at the end of the day, when I bring in someone, I want to bring in somebody that I want to work with for a long term, not for a short term, for a long term, because at the end of the day, we all want to become, integrity partners at the end of the day. So if I'm going to work with someone, I want to work with someone that I can see that I can work with long term and that fits into the culture, because I know if they fit into a culture, they're going to know people that also fit into the culture.
So is most of your team sort of localized out of Dallas, or do you have guys?
Yeah. No, I have most of my team is localized out of Dallas, but but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like I've hired a couple of people, one from Louisiana, another from Hawaii. So it's like, now that situation's going to be a little bit different, right? And that's going to be my first time, kind of experiencing someone out of state in which I can't get a hold of in person. But, that's a growing process.
So to add on top of that, right? So I guess where I was leading with that question, right, is when you're interviewing somebody, when you're talking to someone, they're coming on board.
Okay.
Right. as an experienced agent, right? You know what's possible.
Yeah.
Right. As building a team, you have what I'll call like certain wants and desires, right, out of your agents.
Yeah.
Right. You want everyone to be working at the same level that you're working. You want everyone to be having the same level of success that you're having, right? But other people's wants, desires, needs, are different.
Yeah.
So how are you managing that to make sure that kind of you're helping them maximize sort of their efforts so that everyone's on the same page?
As far as that goes, for them to want, so for example, like if I want my team to hit a certain amount and I notice there's, let's say for example, that this person isn't doing what they're supposed to do, I let them do their own thing.
Okay.
I'm not here to babysit you.
Sure.
I'm going to find other individuals that are going to want not the same wants and desires, because that's selfish of me, but for me to make sure that I understand their wants and desires and make sure it aligns with mine. And if it does, then great, right? But at the same time, when I bring people on, I'm not here to babysit you. You're independent, right? Now I'm here to coach you if you're open for me to coach you.
Yep.
If you're not open for me to coach you, then one, you shouldn't be here. And two, like, I mean, this isn't for you. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Fair enough.
You just shoot people straight and that's it.
Yeah.
You know?
Same thing. What are you, how are you kind of managing, right, people's different sort of levels of
People being people.
involvement? Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, one thing I like to do is I'll give a small task. So like for me, my small task was, when a couple of new guys showed up on Monday, it's like, hey, I'm going to be there at 7:45, and I'll give them the tools they need, but I'll say, I want you to be there at 7:45, squared away, and I'm going to get you set up for success. If they can get here on time at 7:45, then I know, like, okay, that tells me a ton.
Yeah.
It tells me, one, do they listen? Are they coachable? All those things. Do they have the discipline to get up and at least get to work on time? Even though we're not required to.
Right.
If we want to sleep till 10 a.m., we can. But, can you do the simple things, right? So if they're here at 7:45, then I'm like, perfect. This is awesome. If they show up at 8:05, then already off the bat, it's like, okay, what's going on here, right? So I like to give little small tasks. If you can do the little small things, then the rest of it's going to go very smoothly. So I like that. And then what was the other question? What else were we talking about?
I mean, I think generally we were just discussing sort of how you're managing sort of people's different personalities and
I remember what I was going
to
say.
What they want to do.
So this was a coaching moment for me. Rob was telling me this, but find out people's why. Why are they here? Like, what's important to you? Do you want to? Is it that you hate your job and you want to get out of it, or are you trying to pay your mom's house off? Whatever that why is super important, because that will help align us, right? If I know what's important to somebody, then I can really help them achieve that.
So I think it's important, right, to piggyback and agree kind of with both of you, right? Like for me, I try to take the approach with my team, right? Like, yeah, we're independent, right? The analogy I always use is like it's two people prior to phones having GPS. Yes, I'm older than 20.
Dinosaur.
Right, but like I always use the analogy, like think of back in the day, right, when there was two people in a car, right? One person's driving, the other person's holding the map, right? I always think of my agent as the guy driving, right? And they're the one like telling me how fast they want to go, where they want to end up, like all of that stuff, right? As their mentor, upline, whatever phrasing you want to use, right? I think of myself as the person in the passenger seat holding the map, right? So I'm going to go at the same speed that they're going at. I'm going at, but I'm telling them how to get, where they're telling me they want to go.
Yeah.
But it's up to them to basically push me or ask me, right? Or tell me what speed that is, right? What the destination is. Like, what do they want? Where do they want to be? So on and so forth.
Yeah.
Right? It's different here than plenty of other places.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like,
huge.
You're not anyone's boss.
Right.
Right? Like, the reality is at some places, like, your agents work for you. Here, you work for your agents.
Yep.
It's way different of a setup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's just I think that's a most important part of our culture, right? Is it's come enjoy working here.
Yeah.
Because you work for yourself, but you have the support of everyone else, make sure you're not falling flat on your face.
Huge.
Yeah, I like the fact that it's like a team mentality. So even though we have different teams in this office, we're all one big team.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, you know, it's like we're here to help. I like that. Yeah, it's not a boss thing. It's not, hey, go do this.
Right.
It's like, hey, how can I help you?
But your thing is good, right? You're establishing, like, you know, your time is valuable,
Sure.
right? So you're saying 7:45. If that guy's here at 8:05, right? He's already 20 minutes late,
Right.
right? It's establishing a level of respect and culture based off of, right? He's his own boss,
Mm-hmm.
but you're offering your time, effort,
Right.
abilities to help him do better, to give you the respect of being, you know, I mean, I think that that's strong,
Yeah, absolutely.
right?
You know,
But you're not like, be here, you know, at 7:45 or else.
right. I'm just like, hey,
Because
be
it's
here
not
at 7:45 and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
If you can do that, then I know you can do the rest of the things. If you can't even do something as simple as show up to work on time,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what other excuses are you going to pull out for whatever else?
Especially in this business.
Yeah.
Especially in this business.
Anything
And-
else you
and
guys
that-
want to
and-
touch on?
Well, just on the time thing real
Yeah.
quick, you know, that's important because I mean, obviously we can't always be on time to our appointments.
Yeah.
But, you know, you got to respect your client. Like if you tell them you're going to be there, you better do everything under the
Yeah,
sun
for
that
sure.
you possibly can to be there on time. So it's just there's just a lot of, you know, intangible things that you can get from
Yeah.
that. I think for someone who's looking at this from the outside and thinking about coming into it, I would just say that the upside potential is absolutely huge.
Yeah.
So this job is both extrinsically and intrinsically motivating for me. Extrinsically, the money's fantastic. Intrinsically, for me, I'm able to help someone and help their family get in a better spot financially than when they were when I got to their house. And knowing that I had a direct impact on their family,
Yeah.
potentially for the rest of their lives, I mean, is a great feeling.
I always sell. In 2020, I sold 4 policies to people in February, right when the pandemic started.
Yeah.
That all passed away by March of this year,
Wow.
and there was amazingly none of them were COVID related. But I've talked about this. Like, it's so weird to say it this way, but like, yes, you're sad someone lost their family member.
Yeah.
But like, there's kind of no better of a feeling when you get that call, knowing that you've been
And it
the one to put them in that coverage,
Right.
and now that's about to do for their family what it's intended
to do. And that's huge because, you know, we don't really think about it, right? Like whenever we are there for most agents, it's like, you know, I'm here to help you now and, you know, get paid for it. But we don't think truly that, wow, we are really helping this family because it's funny that you mentioned that. I actually got an email from a death claim earlier this morning.
to. Yeah.
And so I'm actually going to call this family later today to see kind of what happened and what's going on. But that's just, you know, the bitter part of it, right? You know, you don't ever want to see or hear anybody pass away. But at the same time, it's huge because you just help that family avoid a financial crisis.
Yeah, I mean,
Tremendous.
I don't know if I've told you this, but I mean, you know, I've been on the other side of it, right? My dad passed away when I was 25. I was the beneficiary of a life insurance policy, so like I've lived the value of what, you know. Clearly, I'm not retired from it, right? But like, but I lived the value of like what that it allowed me to do.
Yeah.
Right at 25, I was able to go back to school. Right, I didn't have to take out school loans. I was able to do some stuff like invest some of it. By the time, you know, my wife and I bought our house 6 years ago, some of that money was part of our down payment.
Wow.
There you go.
You know, like it all counts.
It all
Yeah.
counts.
You know,
every penny. Every penny, man.
So that's just, you know, it's real life that we're dealing with, even
It is.
though you may not pay attention to it.
Yeah. And just to go on that, I think it's easy when we're in here, you know, we talk about business and we talk about growing business and all that stuff. But to me, you know, if you're somebody that's looking at this from the outside, I always think keep the main thing the main thing. What's my job? My job is to take care of the person that's in front of me when I'm in their house. You know, their family is now my responsibility. That's a burden to carry, but it's one that I'm happy to carry because, you know, that's
And the rest of this
our
just
job.
comes along with that.
Yeah.
You know,
You keep
Huge.
people first and you keep the main thing and taking care of their family first, everything comes right along with it.
Absolutely.
You're
You start
you're
putting
the
that
guy
money
wearing-
first.
You're the guy wearing the T-shirt to the movie you just saw. right? Keeping your family first. That family first life.
Hey, yeah, that's it.
That's it, man. That's it.
That's it.
Anything else you guys want to touch on or talk about?
Not necessarily. I
Not
mean,
necessarily, really. I
you
mean,
know, if
new
anyone's
trend.
out there and they see this and they want to come join our team, what we're doing here, my Instagram is Whiskey on the Knox. My name's Tyler Knox. You can find me on there, and that's kind of a funny name. David, what's your stuff?
So you can reach me at, for Instagram, it's _ my first name, David Pinilla, Pinilla, or you can reach me at my cell number at 214-606-2189.
And I'm Jesse Parley, Vice President, Family First Life Avenues. You can find me on Instagram at FFL Avenues.
There you
Awesome.
go. Awesome. Huge.